Have you ever wondered what really happens inside a grand piano when you press a key? From the outside, it looks elegant and simple. But beneath the lid, a secret world of mechanical genius comes alive with every touch. Each part moves with precise timing, creating the sound we all know and love. This hidden complexity is what makes the grand piano such an amazing instrument. It's not just a box with strings, it's a masterpiece of engineering. Every note you hear is the result of dozens of tiny actions working together. The magic isn't just in the sound, but in the way the piano transforms human energy into music. A grand piano holds more secrets than you might expect. The keys, hammers, strings, and other parts all play a specific role. Together, they let us play soft and loud, fast and slow. But how do they do it? Let's lift the lid and explore each piece, step by step. You're about to discover what really happens inside a grand piano. Inside a grand piano, everything starts with the keys, but they are only one part of a big team. When you press a key, you start a chain reaction that includes several parts. Each part is carefully designed to work together. The main parts of the grand piano include the keys, the action mechanism, the hammers, the strings, the soundboard, the dampers, and the pedals. Each one has a special job in making music. Some parts create sound, while others control it. The action is the group of parts that connect your finger to the hammer and string. Hammers strike the strings to make them vibrate. The soundboard amplifies the vibration, making the sound louder and richer. Dampers stop the sound when you lift your finger. Pedals, found at the bottom, give you even more control. They let you change the length and character of each note. We'll dive deeper into these pedals in a future article. For now, let's follow what happens when you press a single key. When you press a piano key, you start the music-making process. Each key is a lever, made of wood, balanced on a pivot. There are 88 keys on a standard grand piano, 52 white and 36 black. Each key is linked to one or more strings inside the piano. The key's job is simple. Transfer the force from your finger to the next part in the action. But even this step is carefully designed. The key must return to its original position smoothly every time you lift your finger. This allows you to play notes quickly and repeatedly. As you press the key down, the back end lifts up. This movement starts a chain of actions that travel deeper into the piano. It's a small motion, but it sets everything else in motion, like the first domino falling in a long line. This clever lever system means you don't need a lot of strength to play loud or soft. The piano's action multiplies the force you give it, helping to create a wide range of musical expression. Once you press a key, the movement is transferred to the wippen. The wippen is a wooden part that sits above the back of the key. You can think of it as a small platform that lifts when the key rises. Its job is to push the next piece in line, the jack. The jack is a tiny angled lever attached to the wippen. It's a little piece with a big job. When the wippen lifts, the jack pushes the hammer upward toward the strings. At the same time, it manages the complex timing that's needed for fast, repeated notes. As the key goes down, the jack moves forward and then quickly moves out of the way. This escapement action is what allows the hammer to strike the string freely, without blocking or muffling the sound. The jack then returns to its starting position, ready for the next note. This careful design lets you play fast passages and repeated notes with ease. Without the wippen and jack, the piano would feel heavy and slow, and you couldn't play quick music clearly. The hammer is one of the most important parts inside the piano. It's made from wood and covered in felt. When the jack lifts the hammer, it's pushed toward the string. The hammer must hit the string with just the right speed and force. But here's the clever part: the escapement mechanism. Just before the hammer hits the string, the jack slips away. This lets the hammer fly freely for the last part of its journey. The hammer bounces off the string and then falls back to its resting position. This escapement is what gives the grand piano its unique touch. You can play very softly, letting the hammer just kiss the string, or you can play loudly, making the hammer strike hard. The amount of force you use on the key is transferred all the way to the hammer and then to the string. The hammer must be light enough to move quickly, but strong enough to create a full, rich sound. This balance is part of the piano's magic, giving you control over every note. When the hammer strikes, it hits one or more strings. Each key is connected to 1, 2, or 3 strings, depending on the note. Lower notes usually have one thick string, while higher notes have 2 or 3 thin strings grouped together. The length, thickness, and tension of each string decides the pitch. Longer, thicker, looser strings make lower notes. Shorter, thinner, tighter strings make higher notes. When you look inside a grand piano, you'll see the strings fanning out in a pattern called overstrung or cross-strung. This lets the long bass strings fit into the body of the piano. The strings vibrate quickly when struck by the hammer, but by themselves, strings wouldn't make much sound. They need help to be heard. That's where the next big part comes in, the soundboard. The soundboard is a large, thin piece of wood under the strings. It acts like a giant speaker. When the strings vibrate, their motion is passed through small wooden bridges to the soundboard. The soundboard then vibrates too, moving lots of air and making the sound much louder. Without a soundboard, the piano would sound weak and tinny. The soundboard's shape and the kind of wood it's made from affect the piano's tone. Spruce is the most common material because it's light, strong, and flexible. The soundboard not only makes the sound louder, but it also adds warmth and character to every note. Each piano has its own voice, thanks in large part to the soundboard. Even the best strings and hammers can't sound good without a well-made soundboard. This is why piano makers spend so much time choosing and shaping this key part. Dampers are small felt pads that rest on the strings when you're not playing. Their job is to stop the strings from vibrating when you let go of a key. Each key has its own damper for the mid and high notes. In the bass section, one damper may cover more than one string. When you press a key, the damper lifts off the string just in time for the hammer to strike. When you release the key, the damper falls back onto the string, stopping the sound. This lets you control how long a note rings out. If you want a short, crisp sound, you lift your finger quickly. If you want a note to last, you hold the key down longer. This control is one reason pianists can make music sound so expressive and alive. The damper system also connects to the pedals, which can lift all the dampers at once. We'll cover pedal magic in more detail in the next part. All these parts, keys, action, hammers, strings, soundboard, and dampers, must work together perfectly. The timing is incredibly precise. Even the smallest change in shape or size can affect the instrument's feel and sound. Piano makers must be both engineers and artists to get it right. What really sets the grand piano apart is how much control it gives the player. With careful touch, you can play very quietly, called pianissimo, or very loudly, fortissimo. You can repeat notes quickly, thanks to the double escapement mechanism. This feature lets the hammer reset, even if the key isn't fully released, making fast music possible. The grand piano responds to every movement of your fingers. It's both sensitive and powerful. That's why it's the favorite of classical, jazz, and pop musicians alike. Learning to master these controls takes time, but it's what makes playing the piano such a rewarding experience. Now you know what happens inside a grand piano when you press a key. It's a beautiful chain reaction, from your fingertip to the hammer, from the string to the soundboard, all carefully controlled by dampers and levers. Every note is a tiny miracle of engineering and artistry. What makes the grand piano special is the way these parts work together. The design lets you play with feeling, speed, and control, making each performance unique. No other instrument combines so much power and precision under one lid. But we've only scratched the surface. In the next part, we'll explore how the pedals add extra magic to your playing. We'll also dig deeper into advanced features that make the grand piano the king of instruments. Stay curious, there's more to discover beneath the lid.